Welcome to the Real Horror Stories channel. This channel is based on the real horror stories which is shared by our viewers. First story shared by Lisa from United States. Lisa said, this is the late 80s, early 90s. I was around 6 to 7 years old. I am at home with my sister who is 14 to 15 at the time. We grew up in a small Texas town. Everyone knows everybody. We are home alone this particular night, and my folks let my sister babysit me frequently. We always got along due to our age gap. Anyway, it is about 8 p.m. in the winter. Deserts get pretty damn cold. So it is dark and we are in the common room since that is where the TV was. Watching 60 Minutes or 48 Hours or Hard Copy or some shit. Those 1-hour news pieces on CBS that chronicle large crimes in depth. Trafficking, murders, kidnappings and the like. Basically a gritty Lifetime special. This one was a typical story. Guy next door that was quiet went on a rampage in his next door neighbor's house, mutilating them and kidnapping their young daughter. Well, the thing about our house common room is the door leading to the backyard was a large glass door on a wall of floor-to-ceiling windows. Nothing but blackness beyond it unless you have the back light on. We did not. The front door is on the other side of the room with a small entryway. This is a solid door, so you cannot see what is beyond it, with a glass storm door on the outside of it. About 45 minutes into the show, they are talking about the ongoing manhunt for this crazy guy and bam, front door bangs like crazy. We jump the fuck up and scream like banshees. Dead silence now. The only lights on in the house are the kitchen down the hall from the common room we were in and the light from the TV. We start thinking something on the porch. We had some planters and a rocking chair out there, had simply blown against the door. This was West Texas, crazy strong winds out that way. Well, a minute or two of silence and us holding each other post-adrenaline overdose passes. Just when we are about to declare everything is safe, we hear the storm door on the outside of our front door close. Fuck. Someone had to have opened that door to be able to bang on the front door like that. Shit. We are both frozen in the middle of the room on the floor where we had been watching TV. My sister crawls over to the TV and turns it off. It was an old TV, so you had to turn that metal dial to switch it off, which it does with a mildly loud thunk. Now it is just us in a room dimly lit by the kitchen light down the hall. I do not remember how much time passed with my frozen and my sister still crouched by the now off TV, but we kept making eye contact, then looking at the front door. I remember this part vividly. I am on my knees sitting on my feet and I turn around to look at the back wall of windows and glass door. We hear and I see the back doorknob turn. It was locked on the knob but not deadbolted. It rattles slightly as if someone is gently trying the handle. Neither of us make a sound, just held breath. Then bam loud as all hell. Someone is trying to force the door open, just jerking it back and forth. The whole wall of windows is vibrating violently and I can see with each jerk of the door how my slight reflection gets fuzzy, then clear, then fuzzy. My sister flips her shit and screams bloody murder. I am still frozen on the floor. She gets up and basically drags me into her bedroom, slams the door, throws her mattress and anything she can in front of her door. Thankfully she had remembered the phone, one of those ungodly heavy beige plastic long metal antenna portable phones. We still had to direct dial the sheriff there and in her panic didn't remember the number. She just hit redial on the phone. It was one of her friends and she tells them in broken gasps that someone is trying to get into our house and needs to get there right fucking now. The profanity sticks out here more than anything else. Who knows, young brain. I am curled up on the floor and cannot stop shaking. We don't hear anything else until we see the headlights of my sister's friend and her parents driving up to the house. We never did find out who was at the door or why. There were no signs of anything happening but a couple of scuff marks on the bottom of the back door that we could not remember if they were there beforehand or not. Nothing like that has happened to me or her since, but for damn sure we never forget to lock a door after that. Second story shared by Mariam from Pakistan. She said she read it somewhere on internet where Jason named by share his true life experience. Jason said, a few months ago I moved out of my parents. I managed to find this beautiful apartment complex for shockingly cheap in my area and jumped at the opportunity. The neighbors were quiet and kind. The building itself was relatively central so I could easily walk to and from. Everything was great. Then the cat started. It was a couple weeks after I moved in. I have insomnia so I usually stay up late just scrolling through Twitter, watching YouTube or something along those lines. This all to say I was up late, nothing out of the ordinary when I started to hear meowing. Like the kind of endless meowing of like a cat in heat, which is strange because I don't own a cat. I shrug it off and assume it's just coming from outside my window. Might make falling asleep a little annoying but it's whatever. The next day I ran into one of my neighbors and asked if they heard any animals outside last night. According to them it was dead quiet all night. Okay, bit weirder but it was late, they were probably just asleep or something, again. I shrug it off. Then it happens again the next night. It sounded harsher this time, angrier. My window was closed this time but it was louder than last time. That's when the scratching began. Something was scratching at my door. I live alone, with no pets. Needless to say I was a little freaked out. I didn't sleep that night. My heart was in my throat and I couldn't tell you why. I mean, it's just a cat, right? Maybe I left my door cracked by mistake or it made a hole in one of my window screens and crawled in. But no, I was in a panicked sweat until morning. I don't know when it stopped. I think I might have fallen asleep. I'm not entirely sure. I checked my door the next morning to find the bottom scratched to hell and back, and I easily spent the next full day throwing my house upside down to find nothing. No cat, no dog, no raccoon, no animal at all. My door was locked and all my windows were shut as well. Needless to say I was a little concerned and very creeped out. This continued for a week. Sometimes it sounded angry. Sometimes loud, sometimes quiet, but the scratching was always there and I could never muster up the courage to actually stand up and go see what the hell it was. But I had an idea. Fed up with this, I decided if I can't work up the balls to open my door and just see what was on the other side, I could at least get a glimpse. So I duct taped my phone, shut up, to the wall outside my door. Left it on selfie record and kept the light in my hallway on for the night. If I could catch whatever the hell it was, then I'd have at least something to go on if I had to call animal control, because my door was looking mighty ugly at this point. Again, the meowing and scratching continued and I was glued to my bed. If you've ever suffered from sleep paralysis or had a night terror, those are the closest feelings I can describe to what I was having. I wanted to jump up and run to my door, tear it open and throttle whatever shitbird was on the other side. Bad enough I'd most likely have to replace my damn door before I moved out, but I'd lost a week of sleep and it was starting to get annoying. But I couldn't. I couldn't yell. I couldn't raise my arms. I just lay there, staring at my wall. Hoping for sleep to take me. It didn't. The meowing and scratching went on for what felt like an eternity, but I suspect was probably just an hour or two before a screeching cry came from my door and it began to rattle like someone was banging on it trying to pry it open. This snapped me out of my stupor and I rushed over and slammed myself into the door. Whatever the fuck was on the other side, I did not want to open the door to see anymore. I sat there all night. At one point I think it tried to turn the doorknob, but outside of some rattling it didn't move. I didn't sleep. Its screeching kept up the whole night, and when the sun finally came up and it stopped, I opened the door only to find my phone smashed to bits. I think it knew I was recording it and freaked out. Now, a sane person might move out. They might run screaming from this apartment, never to be seen in its area ever again. I am not that person. This is my first apartment and I'm not going to take the nagging from my dad about how I got so homesick I made up an excuse just to come home. No. Instead, I bought a bolt. And I installed that bolt onto my bedroom door. Alongside about 6 other locks. I also borrowed an old hardwood door from my parents, saying I liked how it looked and wanted it for my bedroom. That was a couple weeks back at this point. It still happens every night. Not as aggressive as when I tried to record it, but certainly not as calm as it was before. It's gotten to a point where I'm able to just sleep through it if it's a calm night. I'm also glad I got those locks, as I think it's tried the doorknob every other night and it might have gotten in if I hadn't. As for the phone, I wasn't able to salvage much. I got a lot of data out, but all my camera roll was corrupted. I managed to recover maybe a half-dozen pictures and a measly 30 seconds of staticky hard-to-see footage, and whatever I saw on that footage wasn't a person and it definitely wasn't an animal. I know I should move out. Call the cops, animal control, an exorcist, anyone. But I don't want to. Whatever's trying to get in my room, it's not around during the day and I'm just not going to take the risk of being outside my room after dusk. Most importantly, this is something new, and I want to know what exactly it is. I have some plans to try and record it and document it. Obviously cameras won't work if it was smart enough to know my phone was recording it. Maybe I'll get some nanny cams. I saw Paranormal Activity last night, so maybe I'll try that sugar method. At first I was scared. Now I'm intrigued. If you have any horror stories, you can share it in comment, or you can also mail us at our email, which is in description.